What's up? What's up, my beautiful people? Y'all know what time it is. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Cocktails with Crystal L. On this edition, we are talking about something super interesting and not necessarily what we would usually dive into, but I promise you don't want to miss it. So, if we have not had the opportunity to meet before in these social media streets, my name is Crystal L. I am the creator of this little corner of the internet. I'm the founder of All Hair Academy, and my goal is to just help create more safe and inclusive beauty spaces so that people feel like they belong in our chairs. So, today we are talking about gaming. So what does gaming have to do with the beauty industry? It has everything to do with the beauty industry, especially as our world is becoming way more familiar with making the world be what it should be, and all of us feel like we belong in the spaces that we occupy, that we are represented, and the things that we do. So for gaming, I don't know if you ever have dove into gaming, but I remember I'm not a gamer, full transparency. Hey, girls, curls. I'm not a gamer, full transparency. But I remember when my family wanted a Wii. So we got a Wii, and it was the first time that I was ever making myself a character. And I remember going in and being like, okay, there's about two different skin tones, right? Real light, real dark. There was no medium. And then the hair was so bad. I had a teeny weeny afro option or a very boxed straight hair option, but nothing that had any sort of shape or curl to it at all. So that is why we're talking about gaming today. I came across an article in Modern Salon. It is called The Project on a Mission to Give Black Gamers Better Digital Hair Options. Right? Like, if you don't game, this probably never crossed your mind. But I have friends who are really, really big gamers, and having their game portrayed as close to them as possible is something that is very important to gamers. But the gaming industry is notorious, right, for having, again, the terrible representation or lack of different hair shapes. Anything that has more texture to it than a little bit of a wave that ultimately looks like ramen noodles turned sideways. No shade. So, what this article talks about is that there's going to be a new program launching on Juneteenth of 2023 called Open Source Afro Hair Library. And the whole point of this, which is well overdue, is for Black gamers to have representation not just of different hair textures, but also different skin tones. Now, I don't know if you're a gamer or if you have children who are gamers, but I would love for you to drop me a heart, a thumbs up if you are a gamer or you have children who have experienced gamers or friends where when you go to pick out your emojis, the hair textures just aren't there. So you are totally lost. It looks like she said, the barista said that maybe that's the reason why she quit gaming. I mean, it's really interesting because when we do things, we want to feel like we belong there, right? So if I go on and every single time I go to create my Bitmoji or my person that represents me, there's nothing there, it's almost like, I don't know if this is something that I really want to be doing. So the really cool part about this open source library is they actually did the research. And this is one of the things that I want to talk about that's so important as we are giving our clients what they need to feel like they belong in our chair, that they are represented. They did research. So they actually found 6 different stylists across the country. I'm sorry, this is created by 6 different stylists. And they are looking at all of the evidence behind different shapes of hair. They are looking at different skin tones, different body types. They're making sure that this representation is not just one person's view, but multiple views put together to create an inclusive space. Hello, Curls by Susie. Thank you for joining. We're talking about gaming. So, What else I find interesting now is when you game, there are lots of things that we can upgrade, right? We all know that we pay for the free services. And then when we go to get the upgrade, the premium, that is the only way that you can sometimes change your skin color, change your hair type, is premium. Now, how does that relate to the beauty industry? That relates when it comes to how we price ourselves, right? So there's been lots of talk in our industry about that. If you know how to do more textured hair, different hair shapes, that it is a premium thing. And I'm like, no, 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 no. That's a basic foundational thing. So just like with gaming, it is 100% a basic foundational thing that you have representation. So when we think about how we price ourselves, if we're like, oh, now I know how to do curly hair, or now I know how to do coily hair, and we say, oh, now that's going to be a premium price because I am now doing something special. It should not 100% be a premium price. Should be the basic bare minimum of what you do, because that is the foundations of who we are as hairstylists. And it comes back to the same thing: is why would I pay an additional fee for hair that looks like mine and millions of other people in the world as an upgrade? So as we continue to have conversations around making sure our art, making sure that our marketing, our branding is representative, we have to make sure that we are having conversations with people who don't look like us. And that if you are in the room is diverse, because with diverse people in the room brings diverse thought. And that is one of the things that this article talks about. It actually says that there hasn't even been design around making sure that there are different skin tones. So really the gradient of skin tones has been, for people of color, has been three, right? So it's the light, the medium, and the dark. And we know that all of us have a variation within our skin tone. So when we're making our branding, when we think about our marketing, we want to make sure that we have a variation of the people that we represent. We have a variation of body size. We have a variation of hairstyles. We have a variation of background. One of the things that I always talk about is that people always say, oh, I want someone who has this, and this. And those characteristics being, I want someone who has disposable income, someone who stops at Target, someone who wants to look beautiful, someone that wants green products. And then when you get there, hey, Aaliyah, um, everyone looks just like them. Well, that variety of people isn't in that one very small frame, right? There are tons of people who look a particular way who fall into your dream client category. So we're talking about gaming and hair. And one of the other things, as we talk about the representation that goes across the board, I know for my family, we were not into Disney characters, and mostly because there was no Disney characters that at the time represented my daughters, right? There were no black and brown characters. We would say that Jasmine from, oh my God, what is Jasmine from? Aladdin. And then Tiana. And then even when Tiana came out, I will tell you, when we went to Disney, it was an upgrade, right? She was not a princess that was just at the breakfast. She had her own castle. It was a completely different place, and it was 100% an upgrade. So again, as black and brown women coming into Disney, and a lot of other people who look like us, again, that was considered an anomaly and an upgrade, and something we had to pay extra for. So how does all of that tie into the beauty industry? It ties into, as we as stylists, brands, educators, owners, suite owners, start diving into making our spaces more inclusive, making sure that people feel like they belong in our chairs, we do it in a way that isn't an upcharge. This is something that is the foundationals of doing hair. So understanding how to work with all the hair types, all the textures, is a foundational knowledge. Someone said this week in a forum that um, it takes way more work for a beauty school to be able to have textured mannequins, or have people who come in with hair that is a variety. And I would beg to say that, yeah, it might take a little bit of work, but at the end of the day, that stylist is going to be prepared to go out into the world and have an option to do whatever they want. And people say, well, it's harder, for someone to do the hair that's not theirs on their head. Well, I can tell you, as a woman of color, that wasn't even in consideration. I had to learn on mannequins that weren't like mine, and nobody was thinking about how hard it was for me. And furthermore, when we learn any new technique, right? When balayage came out, when ombre came out, that was probably hard, right? Hey, JC, how are you? That was probably 100% hard for us. But what did we do? We actually did the work, practiced, learned it, got better at it, and then it was no longer hard for us. So the foundational things that people claim to be hard because it's not what you were taught in beauty school, I'm just going to call BS on that. And if you want to be at all relevant, and I'm going to say that again, at all relevant in the next 10 years, your skill set, your language, your brand has to shift in order to make sure that you are around, and also to make sure that you are not creating a harmful space without even knowing it. So this week I have been hanging out in Austin, Texas. So this is the first time that I have ever been to Texas. I love Austin. But the conversations around, and I'm talking to consumers, the conversations around having access to products, to knowledge, to salons is the same in Missouri. So I'm in a place that's 3 times, 4 times bigger than where I live, and they are having the same conversations. Hey, Honeybee Fly, thank you for tuning in. So it's going back to, we have to continue to do the work for accurate representation, not just in our suites, not just in our salons, but also in our gaming communities, also in any sort of digital representation, thinking about the different hair types, different textures, different shapes, different body sizes, different backgrounds. Everything matters. Representation is everything, and it's not just in our chairs. So, as hairstylists, you can be on the forefront of making a difference as you go out and branch into doing other things, as you branch into getting education, as you branch into consulting. One of the things that I'm consulting on is in an industry that has nothing to do with the beauty industry, but they are representing diversity. And as they're picking models and hiring people, they want to make sure that everyone is represented. And they didn't have anyone in the room. And so they were intentional about finding people in the room who could give a perspective that was different than theirs and had a little bit of knowledge about what people are looking for. And one of the things that I want to say is that so often we've been told that making sure that minorities are represented, well, it's actually minoritized people, because now it's Black and brown people are actually the majority. So as we step into the future, in our chairs, in our suites, in our gaming, in our community, we have to be aware of the importance of making safe and inclusive spaces. So I know today we are talking about and around better digital hair in the beauty industry. I'm sorry, in the gaming industry. And I don't know if you're a gamer. And I don't know if you are familiar with the lack of Bitmoji's hair, but that is supposed to change with this new open source Afro hair library. And what I will say is, I don't love the name. I'm just being 100% transparent, because again, we are 100% attaching someone's skin color, tone, identity to their hair texture. And we all know that hair has no skin color. So just interesting there. But we have to start somewhere. So I commend open source Afro Library. I commend Modern Hair Salon for touching on this and stepping outside of our box. And then I commend each and every one of you hairstylists who are stepping outside of your comfort zone, learning more, stepping outside of your comfort zone and educating on what you know, like my friend JC and my friend Honeybee that are on here today, and taking what we've been doing forever and pouring into our community because it is so needed. So that is the end of Cocktails with Crystal, this edition on Wednesday. I would love to know your thoughts and comments behind if you're a gamer or not. And are you super excited about seeing more shapes when you're going to pick out your digital character? And we are launching something super new and exciting for our All Hair Academy community. So if you are not a part of the community yet, please click the link in my bio and join the community. In the next 2 weeks, there's something that's going to roll out that's going to be just for the community, and I promise you do not want to miss it. In the meantime, in between time, remember, every day is a new opportunity to slay. Peace and love, y'all.